Yeah, I guess everybody says everyone has a story, and this happens to be my story. That's what my friends told me. Um, 15 years ago, my brother and I got up. We went to work on a normal, bright and sunny day. We got off the subway at the Trade Center, and he went up to his tower, which was Tower One, or people know as the North Tower. And I went to mine, which is the Deutsche Bank building, which was connected to Tower Two. Um, I can still remember what he was wearing: a nice pair of black Calvin Klein pants, a Kenneth Cole sweater with a little collar that's beige, and a nice pair of nice Kenneth Cole tie shoes. That's how we dressed back east. And me in my suit and my sneakers, because my heels were in my drawer at work. Um, right when I got to my desk, all of a sudden you heard these loud bangs and noises, and alarms firing, and everything went nuts. We were told just get away from the building. No one knew what was happening. Then we heard that a small commuter plane, probably like a, hit the tower, but nobody was hurt, and that's all we knew at that point. Then we later found out, as we were back at our desk. I'm trying to reach my brother. My brother was Scott Schertzer, and I couldn't reach him. And then Tower Two got hit. We were told to run as fast as we could out. We had to run to the other side of the building because our windows were breaking. And I couldn't reach anybody in my family. A nice man named Mark Lubin saved my life because he made sure I got out, because I just went into a state of shock because I couldn't reach Scott. Um, he he made it to work on the 101st floor at Cantor Fitzgerald, but and that's the last that I got to really see him, was that morning. Then it was just about running and more running and more running. Um, and as the buildings collapsed around you, you you just ran and hid in alleys, and you met in the nice you hid in alleyways and doorways. People covered you up, which was I I always said there was no such thing as chivalry, but the men were covering up all the women so that they would get whatever was flying in the air hit them. It didn't hit us. They would just like cuddle us and everything. Then you had to keep running some more through inches and inches of soot or whatever was coming out of the buildings, and you can imagine maybe what would have been coming out. And we finally got an office building all the way down by the water, because we ran that way, not north. We didn't run towards Midtown. We ran further away because that's the only way we could run. And it took me until 12:30 that day to even reach my parents. So my parents at that point didn't know if my brother or I made it. I was able to reach my dad after the first tower, but not after the second. And he knew that's the one that was attached to mine. So they were kind of a little bit more messed up than I guess even I was, because I was in shock more than anything else. But I almost knew he didn't make it. And at that point, I was trying to figure out, why did I survive and he didn't when I worked at Cantor a year before that? So what happened? Why would this happen as F-15s are flying over your head down Fifth Avenue? I mean, you're not supposed to see them, and they're lower than the buildings. Police are everywhere, secure. No one knew what was going on. You just knew life wasn't going to be the same ever again. And my life for sure wasn't the same ever again, because my brother was 28 years old. he didn't exactly have a life. And for me, it was just after that, it was a lot of recovery, a lot of therapy, and I guess in a good way, 2 failed suicide attempts. And finding out who you could rely on, what family, what friends. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't do anything. I was told I would walk around with a pillow and my brother and mine's picture on top of the pillow and wouldn't let anybody touch it. And I was told that by many people. And I remember parts of that, but a lot of things are blurry in my mind. And the pieces that I'm telling you are the pieces that I remember more vividly than the other pieces. I had PTSD. I'm still, technically, I still have PTSD because I still get flashbacks. I had survivor guilt. I got my brother the job there. I got Scott the job at Cantor Fitzgerald. One of my friends hired him. So, and I told him he had to go to work that morning. The day before, he had laid off 50 people at Cantor Fitzgerald. He knew it was coming. He was having what I thought were nightmares and trauma as a result of it for about 3 or 4 weeks beforehand, because he kept saying, they're after me, the bad guys are coming, the dreams are happening. He couldn't figure out what was going on. All he kept telling everybody is how much he wanted to be with family and how much he loved them. He kept telling my mom how much he loved them. And my mom, we knew something was wrong. We were arranging for him to talk to somebody. I mean, it's hard, 28 years old, having to lay off 50 people. That's traumatic. And we thought it was all that. And that night, after he laid off the people, he said he still couldn't sleep. They were following him all over. And he didn't want to go to work because he said they kept following him. And I made him go to work. So I blamed myself a lot. Obviously, I know it's not me, but part of me will always think if I didn't get him the job, or then I'm like, well, if the subway was 5 minutes late, like it usually is, we would have not have been there yet. But you can't, it's what happened. I don't remember, none of my memories are without him. I was 2 years and 3 months older, but I don't remember anything without him. And as we got older, somewhere along the line, we became friends. We would go, our groups commingled when we got older. You know, we go out in Manhattan, we go down to LBI at the shore. We became friends. And so I lost one of my best friends. Sorry. I see a lot of him in my kids. I sometimes joke I gave birth to my own brother, because my son has his sports abilities, significant abilities. My daughter has his blue eyes and blonde hair. And as you can see, I'm not blue-eyed or blonde. And we don't know where it is on my husband's side. And they can't remember how far back it has to be. Obviously, it's there someplace, but nobody knows where it is. I still see him in my dreams. The hardest part is for me is when my kids ask why they can't meet their Uncle Scott or see their Uncle Scott. And I say that he's in heaven, and they are like, well, where is heaven? Because to them, everything's a place on a map. And I have to try and explain it in a way that a 4.5-year-old and a 2.5-year-old can understand without telling them too much. So that's hard for me right now. I found ways to make sure people remember him. I fought the town I grew up in, North Edison, and I got our street named after him. I got a bench in Central Park named for him outside of Tavern on the Green. we have a butterfly garden at our grammar school that was funded by neighbors. It's just ways that we can find ways to remember him. I've been to, obviously, to the towers since everything happened. For me, it doesn't look normal. It doesn't look right. And I don't know why anybody in their right mind would want to be in a building that tall ever again. But that's your choices. It wouldn't be mine. I couldn't take it. I had a special pass, a special color that said I was a family member. I went with my husband. And security obviously knows what that pass color means. And they kind of stick around by you just in case people want to read your badge. And I went into the room where they went into the full details, and I lost it, and they rushed me out to the family center and let me just sit where a security guard there's a whole area where only family can go. And you could relive arrest, and they have, like, it sounds stupid, but they have water and like a little snack for you just so that you can gather your composure again. And you could stay there or you could continue. I stayed there. It was hard. I've only been there once since being out here. I went to every memorial through the first 10, both the big Trade Center one and Cantor Fitzgerald's has their own. I've met a lot of people through it, other siblings, and of course, obviously there's the politicians and anybody else that is somewhat of a VIP, whatever. But I've gone to all of them, and it's hard. It's very hard to be down there. For me, it doesn't look like it should look. They're just rebuilding right on top of it. And for me, I wish they never did. We're I guess, lucky, for lack of a better word, that they found a part of my brother. I don't know what part my dad does, and it will die when he passes, and hopefully that's not soon. But my mom and I, he will not tell us what they found. We do know it's not that big, but he was found they told you where he was found and who he was found with. So he was found with his co-workers, which means at least they were all together. But I fought long and hard to get to a point where I'm a survivor. There's not much that can be done to me anymore that I can't survive. You learn your family is the most important thing in the world. And in my house, we have a rule. We always say we love each other every day, and we give each other hugs, because you don't know when the last one's going to be. Obviously, there are some details that I don't even remember, which is probably for the best. But I'm here. It took me a while to get off the meds they put me on. I needed them to go to sleep, to wake up and make it through the day for about 4 years. But I'm here. And that's what I keep telling myself. And that's what's important. And probably up till now, most people out here didn't know about my brother, about Scott, and what I went through. But yeah, there's a big divide. I think people don't remember it out here. I don't know if it's thought of as much. Back east, the major networks will run every memorial with the names on the bottom. You're lucky if you see like a 5-minute glimpse here as they're discussing traffic on the highway. It's not thought of the same. Um, I don't see it being the same. People don't, it's just like an ordinary day, and it's not. And if you were back east, it's not it's not an ordinary day. They need to know that it's families, it's people who died. It's not just a building that came down and the lawsuits over the buildings and the rent that were afterwards. There's 3,000 people that passed away with 4 planes going down between New York, Pennsylvania, Shanksville, Pennsylvania, and DC. Those are what you have to remember. Those 3,000 people didn't get to live their lives. They all have family members. They have brothers, sisters, moms, dads, kids. Some of those kids never even knew their parents. That's what people need to remember. But I think if you weren't personally impacted, it's just like another day to you. Okay, I'm just going to go on. You went to work the next day. I didn't go to work for a month and a half. And I know people will sit there and compare and say, well, we know we've lost loved ones, but you got to say goodbye. And that's what I keep telling people. I didn't get to say goodbye. We just went to work. You know, we went to work in a business on Wall Street. We did not do anything that would have caused it. I lost faith. Um, I mean, I know that I am Jewish, and that's why I go to the JCC, and my kids go to the JCC preschool. I'm not sure there's a God up there anymore. And even Sister Elizabeth, because Catholic Charities came to our house a lot. Sister Elizabeth was the sister. She's like, you don't have to believe in there's, if that's what you need to not believe in, you don't believe. I don't know if there is one up there, because I can't imagine someone allowing this to happen. So it's really hard for me to reconcile that. I talk to my brother almost every day. I talk to my family a lot. For my wedding, we set up a place setting for him, and we left the groom spot open because that would have been his place. My son is named for my brother. Stephen is named for Scott. My husband thought we'd be naming, I couldn't use the same name. It just was too hard for me. I didn't want to look at my son's face and cry every 5 minutes. So we chose the same initials. So yeah, every day I remember. I have the flag that we got. It's in my house. But as I said, I guess unless you know me, you don't know this is my story. Everybody's life changed, but part of mine stood still and still stands still in that moment.